it is such a pain to connect with conditional logic, the delivery for all these different pieces of creative, into a multi-part series that then collects people's information and notifies for a marketer, that's already a full-time job. For a marketer, that's already something that's a little bit tough. That is something complicated. And all of a sudden we're going to be asking financial advisors, hey, take on that job as well. Why don't you wear that hat too? So we decided we're going to build a platform that does this.
The Bombcast, mercifully short stories for the trusted advisor.
Welcome to the Bombcast. I am your host, Ray Ross, and today we are going to be having a conversation with founder, chief marketing officer, and creative director of Snappy Kraken, Angel Gonzalez. And Angel, I'm going to dive right in because while I was trolling your website, Investment News calls Snappy Kraken the most innovative marketing platform for advisors. How did you get to that point?
Sure. And before I even jump into that, I do want to make a few corrections. I may have to revisit my LinkedIn. So it's co-founder. I have two other co-founders, and we have a creative director and a chief creative officer. So I don't know where that came from. So I'm going to have to see who said that about me.
I'll definitely make that edit as well on the link, but I'm going to keep that. I love that you were just humble enough to call that out and be like, co-founder. Thank you.
Oh, sure. There's some amazing people at the company, but so you asked about
Investment
us being
News
called the most innovative. Yeah.
Yes.
So the most innovative. So how do we grow into that? Basically, we started off in 2016, and when we took a look around the industry, we're like, okay, all these advisors struggle with marketing. A lot of marketing is kind of homogenous. You look at the color palette, there's not really a heterogeneous color palette. It's mostly blue and gray. And even the imagery that's used, it's a lot of the same stock photography. The tone of voice is very corporate. And then even the hooks and the use of marketing psychology and what makes great marketing work wasn't really put to use. We didn't see that, like stuff that really connects with people. In addition to that, we didn't see that technology was being leveraged like it could. You see all these other technology platforms. You at that time, we had Marketo, we had Keep, we had HubSpot. We had agencies that would serve financial advisors. They would use other technologies to help serve the advisors. But we were like, you know what? As a marketer, it is such a pain to set up a funnel. It is such a pain to have to creative direct something, get the creative in place, get the assets in place, do the copywriting, make sure that it hits all the marks. It is such a pain to connect with conditional logic, the delivery for all these different pieces of creative, into a multi-part series that then collects people's information and notifies for a marketer, that's already a full-time job. For a marketer, that's already something that's a little bit tough. That is something complicated. And all of a sudden we're going to be asking financial advisors, hey, take on that job as well. Why don't you wear that hat too? So we decided we're going to build a platform that does this. We're going to be an internal agency that creates these fantastic marketing assets, that creates full funnels, that creates campaigns that go from taking someone from a stranger all the way to an engaged prospect, all the way to a client and raving fan. Why don't we build that for financial advisors and not make it cost, $50,000 per campaign? Make it easy, make it accessible. And by the way, let's crank out a high volume of these campaigns every single month for advisors. And by the way, why don't we show people that we practice what we preach when we say, hey, stand out, blend out, be different, and be different ourselves. And we call ourselves Snappy Kraken.
Yeah. And in looking at the success stories that you have listed on your website, you have been a game changer for these advisors. And something that you hit on that I really appreciate is you get into an industry not to become a master marketer or a master data expert or a content creator or a content designer. You want to focus on what you are an expert in, being a financial advisor, being a trusted advisor. And that's what your time and attention should focus most on. And then you've got a company like Snappy Kraken, who clearly you exude the value just by the stories that you share on your website and how you really highlight and empower your customers in different aspects of your website.
Isn't that really demoralizing though, when you have people who are experts in their field, they get into something, they're so passionate about helping people, they're so passionate about bringing value and changing people's lives, and then they get into it and then they might struggle and they're told, oh, you have to market stuff, and they're like, oh, but I don't like that. Shouldn't this speak for itself? Shouldn't I just do a great job, and all of a sudden someone will throw me a parade and everyone will be like knocking down the door? And I wish it was that easy. I wish you could care and have all this intention and your business could just 5x, 10x, 100x overnight. But no, that's not reality. You have to put work into it. And it doesn't mean you have to be salesy, pitchy, or sleazy.
Well, and that's what you also point out is being value driven. The content that you create, not only does it not adhere to the dull, sterile, commonly overused color patterns, the topics are unique. They're empathetic in their structure and the content that's provided within them. The call to action is clear. I think that is significant. A clear call to action. It's not just, here's some content to stay top of mind. Don't forget about me. This is what you need to know to be successful in these areas. If you want to have a conversation with me, please reach out. And it's all value driven. And in such a digitally disassociated culture, we crave that level of trust and connection. And we are such an educated buyer, or we're such an educated consumer, that we get those spray and pray messages all the time, promising to be the best of the best and worry-free and problem-free, but that's not real life, especially when it comes to financial investments, right? There are peaks and valleys throughout the entirety of it. It is incredibly confusing to navigate, which is why we need those advisors. And I noticed that in your career growth, you have co-founded a few other businesses. You even worked at H&R Block, which I thought that was awesome, that you just grew up and evolved into Snappy Kraken. So what were some problems that you were commonly seeing in the financial advisory space that you said, I'm going to make Snappy Kraken. I'm going to help make Snappy Kraken.
Right. Well, one of the comments that you made, you said, hey, you have this content, you make people stand out, and you actually have calls to action. That's a big thing that we hear that's still missing from a lot of other things that advisors have tried. So many advisors will come to us and tell us like, hey, by the way, I love your stuff. It stands out. The content is engaging. It's very unique. It makes me look like a boss. And oh, by the way, it doesn't just create content for content's sake. There's actually a point to it. There's an end goal. There's a call to action so somebody can take a next step and then transition into like a deeper level of the relationship with me as an advisor. Oh, and oh, by the way, there's additional follow-up because I can't count on just one ask working for the prospect. There's multiple asks. You have to stay in front of them. And I'm sure you've experienced this. I've experienced this. There's so many journeys that I've been a part of when it comes to marketing with other companies where I don't say yes on the first try. I don't say yes on the sixth try. You know, sometimes it could take me a couple months. It could take me over a year. It could take me 2 years. I'll give you most recent example. I just came across that device, the Remarkable, that it's supposed to be like a Kindle that you get to write notes on, and it's supposed to feel like paper, and it syncs your notes. It could even turn them into readable text. I saw that. I went to the website. I started adding stuff to the cart, and then I was like, nah, I don't want to spend that money right now. I can use my journal here for like 1% of the cost there. But I keep seeing ads. And I'm on their email list, and they're giving me ideas, and they're telling me how the tech is used, and they're telling me about the transformation, and they're telling me about the story of the company. So now it's like I've gone to that cart a few more times, and then I'm like, no, I'm on the edge, but I'll probably end up buying it. But you can follow up with me. You can do like a little follow up to Angel's story. Yeah, haha, he bought it.
The Bombcast. Mercifully short stories for the trusted advisor.